Welcome to Dorina Snitchell. May I take your order, please?
Yeah, I want 2 left go, 2 left right, 2 cheese on, lots of pepper, 2 left tortilla tomato.
You want Bill Sperm with that?
No!
Hey guys, this is Jay. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the liberal-ass mayor of San Francisco, Libby Schaaf. I want to talk about her tweet that she put out the other day, or I guess last week, informing these illegal immigrants that ICE was coming down on them. They were going to do a raid in the area. So I want to go ahead and play you guys a couple clips of some local newscasts in the area, and we'll go ahead and discuss this crap. Okay, so I was going through YouTube, cruising through some videos, and I came across this one particular video from Kite Cutter TV. So I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description box for their information. You can go and watch the video in its entirety. I'm only going to play you a couple clips, so let's go ahead and get started.
Undocumented immigrants are behind bars right now after a new crackdown by the federal immigration agents.
CBS 13's Lamore Abrams is live in the studio with more on what she's hearing. Lamore.
Adrian and Tony, tonight ICE agents tell us the people in custody are convicted criminals who are in the country illegally, but their attorneys say they are entitled to due process just like anyone else.
Turn the camera off and tell you where we're going to take them. I think that the state of California is almost in a state of civil war with the federal government.
Federal officials are in the midst of a new immigration operation in Northern California that attorney Douglas Lehrman says could be depriving his clients of their right to due process.
The applicant we saw had a denied application about 6 months, a year ago, and didn't refile.
So that's supposed to be our problem? That she didn't refile and that she was denied, 4, 5, 6 months ago? How is that our fault? You're here illegally. So, let's go on.
They may have had some information about the person, and they knocked on their door without a warrant.
Why do they need a warrant? You're here illegally. You're already in their system, most likely, because a lot of these guys are already or gals are already convicted criminals. So they're already on, their chopping block. And again, they are illegal immigrants. They are not afforded the same rights and privileges as you and I, as U.S. citizens. Unbelievable.
It's tracking the arrest, say ICE agents have detained at least 15 people from Sacramento to the Bay Area, accused of being in violation of immigration laws.
It's really instilling a lot of fear into the community.
Carlos Montes Ponce is the voice behind a local rapid response hotline. He says he's had a 6-fold increase in calls from family members who've never before had contact with federal agents.
It's been, family members who've been detained, leaving their homes or arriving from work.
But an ICE spokesman says the deportations are focused on individuals who pose a threat to national security, public safety, and border security. The operation follows a massive sweep in LA last week. ICE agents arrested 200 immigrants, and prior to that, went after dozens of businesses hiring undocumented workers.
And again, what's up with these businesses hiring illegal immigrants? They need to be prosecuted under the law as well, because that's bullshit. There's no reason why they can't hire an American.
Local law enforcement agencies have said they'll no longer cooperate with ICE on sweeps.
Exiling and splitting up families.
Lehrman thinks the state's efforts to create sanctuary protections for those here illegally may actually be encouraging more targeted raids.
And we're definitely being targeted because we're a sanctuary city.
You think? You know what gets me, folks? Aside from this due process crap, they talk about that we're tearing families apart. When does it become their own personal responsibility? When are they going to accept their own personal responsibility in this matter? They chose to come here illegally. They chose to impregnate somebody while they're over here, knowing full well that at any given time they could be sent back. And this tearing of the families crap is bull. Because under Mexican law, any children born to two Mexican parents, or probably just one Mexican parent, they are considered Mexican citizens. So this tearing of the families, tearing them apart, is a bunch of crap. Why don't you take your kids with you? They're legal citizens of Mexico. You don't have to tear your family apart. Dumbass.
But besides that prepared statement, an ICE spokesman declined to say any more about this ongoing operation. Advocates and legal teams say they remain on alert tonight.
Yeah, and exactly, why would they tell them any more about their ongoing efforts, their ongoing operations? The press is just as bad as the San Francisco mayor and letting it out, essentially breaking the law.
Back to you.
And the debate continues. Lamar Abrams live in the studio. Lamar, thanks.
Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf stands by her tweet. She warned the people of Oakland about pending immigration sweeps.
The question is, was she within her rights or was it an obstruction of justice? As KPX Times Phil Mateer tells us, her critics found this reckless. Right, Phil?
That's right.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it reckless? Was she within her right to do this? I think not. I think it's obstruction of justice. If I were to lie to the police or federal agent regarding, let's say my daughter or my son-in-law, they were a convicted felon running from the cops, and if I interfered with that investigation and lied to them, I would be brought up on obstruction charges. Why should it be any different for the mayor of San Francisco, the governor of California, or anybody else for that matter that supports this sanctuary city status crap?
Well, this is a combination of politics and public safety. And those are two volatile issues that when they mix up create controversy. And that's just what Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf did when she warned about the ICE raids. The question is, did she cross the legal line? Let's hear what she has to say.
Everything I've done has been legal.
So she says, but former federal prosecutor Tony Brass says putting out a public warning about a planned immigration sweep may have crossed the line.
She's on the threshold of obstruction of justice for doing what she did.
Why?
Because you put agents in danger, you put the police in danger, and you put neighbors in danger.
I was sharing information in a way that was legal, was not obstructing justice, and it was an opportunity to ensure that people are aware of their rights.
Still, there could be repercussions.
They keep talking about these people having rights. What rights do they actually have? As far as I'm concerned, you're here illegally. You have zero rights. Nil. Nada. Zip.
What's going to happen is that federal agents are going to stop talking to local police agencies. And the reason that communication is so vital is for safety. It's for safety of everybody.
Schaaf's warning on the pending ICE raids is also being slammed by critics of sanctuary cities.
This seems to be mostly a political stunt. It's not going to stop ICE from enforcing the law.
And while the mayor has local defenders like Hastings Law immigration professor Richard Boswell,
she's trying to keep some level of peace within the community.
Questions still remain. Like, will the mayor reveal who told her of the planned raids?
No.
Why not?
Again, my information did not come through official channels.
Then how the hell did she find out about it? If it didn't come through official channels, how the hell did she find out about it? So you're telling me someone within the federal government, someone tied to ICE, has a big mouth. They need to get rid of them, whoever it is. You can't have people just, throwing that shit out there and, violating law as far as I'm concerned.
Actually, everyone who's likely to be caught up in one of these enforcement action is someone who we call a criminal alien. That is someone who's typically committed some other crime.
That has been one of my concerns, that this has been used as a wedge issue, and that this ugly myth that immigrants are criminals. This is a decision I made. I recognize that it's controversial, but I believe it was the right thing to do.
Well, good. Then she should sit in jail for what she believes is right. Because they are criminals. The first thing they did was a criminal act. Why can't they see this? They just refuse to see logic. It's all about their feelings, right, folks? Aww.
Do it again?
Based on the information that I had, yes.
So, we will just be seeing exactly where it goes from here. So far, the raids haven't materialized, but ICE has made it clear that they are targeting California and told California to get ready because things are going to get shaken up.
Right, and Oakland has some of the toughest sanctuary city laws in the country, and as you say, ICE has said this is exactly what we're going to do.
That's right, and ICE has made it clear that they are planning to do these raids one way or the other. You want to call them raids or sweep. Now, they've also issued a statement that Oakland is not immune from federal law, and that the refusal to cooperate by handing over immigrant violators.
Warning the public about what she had heard was a large-scale ICE raid in the works. Now, her spokesman tells Libby Schaaf the mayor is getting threats. Joe, what's going on?
Veronica, she says she's now received hundreds of nasty messages on voicemail, email, and social media. That's
You don't say.
Spokesperson. Now, most of those came from outside of California. Some were death threats. Her office gave us one recording that's not quite a threat, but you can hear the anger.
I'll tell you what the Trump administration ought to do is come down there and put the damn cuffs on every one of you son of a guns that don't follow the law. And the little creepy mayor of Oakland ought to be the first one that gets cuffed for treason and drag her out of that mayorship. And I'll be damned you guys are just going to let us be overtaken by foreign governments and not have any repercussion because you want to let a bunch of damn illegals in here to vote for you.
I agree with that caller 110%. She should be the first one cuffed. Drag her ass out of that mayorship.
The mayor insists raising the alarm was appropriate.
I felt it was my duty to share the information I had.
Former federal prosecutor Tony Brass says she may have crossed the line.
Federal agents are going to stop talking to local police agencies. And the reason that communication is so vital is for safety of everybody.
I was sharing information in a way that was legal, was not obstructing justice. And it was an opportunity to ensure that people are aware of their rights.
Here we go. There she goes again with the rights, right?
Critics of sanctuary cities believe the mayor's warning was irresponsible.
Virtually everyone who's likely to be caught up in one of these enforcement actions is someone who we call a criminal alien. That is someone who's typically committed some other crime.
Turn the camera off and tell you where we're going to take them.
One of the 11 arrests yesterday was in Napa. ICE agents took Armando Nunez Salgado into custody. He was once on ICE's most wanted list for a felony charge of assault with a deadly weapon. Now, that was one arrest. It's still not clear what the other 10 arrests were for yesterday. As for the mayor, despite the threats, her staff says she will continue to keep her busy routine. On the Night Beat, I'm Joe Vasquez.
Okay, well, let's go through some articles I found here online. I found a couple articles, one from Town Hall, one from the San Francisco Chronicle, and then I found one also from Breitbart to kind of give you a rounded kind of look at things. But I want you to hear the difference in the language about how they talk about it. We have Town Hall. About that ICE raid, the Oakland mayor interrupted. She didn't interrupt it. She totally just, she committed a crime there. So we got Libby Schaaf, the mayor of Oakland, California, made the daringly foolish choice to warn illegal immigrants in the Bay Area that immigration customs and enforcement agents were on their way to raid the place. She posted the warning online 24 hours before ICE was scheduled to arrive. She shared the notice with the intent to protect citizens and not frighten them, she wrote. What about protecting our citizens? You know? Forget these illegal immigrants. What about us? Oakland is safer when we share information, encourage community awareness, and care for our neighbors. It turns out the community is much safer, having been swept by ICE, and as a sizable number of the people the agents arrested in the San Francisco Bay Area had violent criminal records. Wait, I thought she said that immigrants, they're being looked at as criminals, and it's wrong. Of those 232, 180 were either convicted criminals, had been issued a final order of removal, and failed to depart the United States, or had been previously removed from the country and had come back illegally. So we kicked their ass out and they came back. Another 115 had prior felony convictions for serious or violent offenses. Again, I thought they weren't criminals. Those convictions included aggravated assault, murder, a hit and run, lewd acts with a minor, burglary, cruelty towards a child, indecent exposure, domestic violence, drug trafficking, battery, sex offenses, and false imprisonment, an ICE spokesperson told Fox. Jesus Christ! Can you add any more to that list? Bunch of pedophiles we're dealing with here. It sounds like Mexico just sends us their worst. Not their best and brightest. We get their scum. ICE Deputy Director Thomas D. Homan said before the raid concluded that there were 864 illegal immigrants in the Bay Area and is unsure how many escaped their grasp. So you know what? That's 864 people that got away. 864 criminals whose convictions include aggravated assault, murder, hit and run, lewd acts with a minor, burglary, cruelty towards a child, indecent exposure, like we want to see their dicks, domestic violence, drug trafficking, battery, sex offenses, and false imprisonment. Jesus. The Schaaf has defended her decision to tip off illegals in the area, suggesting it was noble and the right thing to do. And she has no regrets. Well, let's see if she has any regrets when she's sitting in a 5x5 cell. Okay? The DOJ is considering what to do with Schaaf, currently reviewing whether the mayor broke any laws. They do know, however, that she'd be willing to go to jail. Okay, well, hey, at least she's going to stand up, for her convictions. And her convicted frickin' felons. Now let's go back over here to her Twitter. And she says, I do not regret sharing this information. It is Oakland's legal right to be a sanctuary city. No, it's not. How many times do we have to tell you? Federal law supersedes any local laws, municipal, city, county, state, otherwise. And we have not broken any laws. We believe our community is safer when families stay together. Okay. Tonight, ICE confirmed it conducted an operation in the Bay Area that included Oakland. My statement on Saturday was meant to give all residents time to learn their rights and know their legal options. If they haven't figured out what the hell their rights and legal options are by now, and they have to take this time when she warns them to learn of their legal rights, I mean, come on. Let's use some logic here, people. And there again, use information to help keep families together. I do not regret sharing this information, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we already said that. Okay, We know that law-abiding residents live in fear of arrest and deportation every day. Well, according to those figures, again, they're not law-abiding citizens, are they? My priority is for the long-term well-being of Oakland, and I know that our city is safer when we share information that leads to community awareness. You're not sitting there, it's not a drug campaign, an anti-drug campaign. You're talking about illegal immigrants here, folks. I want to remind those who may need legal representation to contact the following website. This one right here. Employers should also consult this link to understand their obligations and responsibilities under state law. What about the responsibilities under federal law, huh? Okay, now let's go on to this liberal-ass San Francisco Chronicle. Listen to the, how different it was in comparison to the last article. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf was warning about federal immigration sweeps might look like a no-brainer on the local political front. After all, one poll of 500 Bay Area residents by KPIX5 Survey USA found 48% approved of her heads up and just 34% turned thumbs down. What a bunch of bullshit. However, the same poll found that 61% said police should help federal authorities in cases involving undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, just say it, suspected of committing violent crimes. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says about half of the 232 people picked up in its sweeps last week had criminal records. Really? Though the agency didn't say how many of those were violent criminals. ICE also says 100 of criminal aliens and public safety threats remain at large. Yeah, that 861 of them. And that some may have eluded capture because of Schaaf's warning. Of course they did. They missed out on 864, I believe. There's a reason for the feds to make the mayor look bad if one of those who got away goes on to murder someone. No shit. As far as I'm concerned, she's responsible for every damn crime those illegal immigrants that they could have picked up and they didn't because of her actions. City Councilman Noel Gallo, whose Fruitvale district is heavily Latino, agreed. He said, annoying the feds isn't in the city's best interest. The gang, MS-13, is operating in my area, and there are a lot of times that we need the FBI and federal help, he said. Of course. But no, you're gonna isolate them and, try to go against whatever they're doing. Councilwoman Rebecca Kaplan, rumored to be considering a challenge to the Schaaf from the left in this year's election, tried to have it both ways. First, she criticized the mayor for not taking the quiet approach. Then she said Schaaf's critics on Fox News were wrong to go after her. Sounds like another winner, folks. Okay, let's see. It goes on to say, she'll have a hard time outflanking Schaaf on the progressive front on this one. After all, in Oakland politics, standing up to President Trump and ICE is an easy win because they're all a bunch of fucking leftists out there. So that's the San Francisco Chronicle. Now let's move on to Breitbart, and you'll see the change in language. Oakland mayor receives over 1,000 angry calls after defying ICE. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf received over 1,000 angry calls in protest against her decision last weekend, to warn illegal aliens of an impending raid by federal immigration and customs enforcement officials. Schaaf, who told the Washington Post, "I definitely consider myself part of the resistance," angered ICE officials who made 232 arrests over several days, but said that 800 illegal aliens evaded arrest due to her warning. Many of the illegal aliens targeted in the raid already had criminal convictions, according to ICE officials. But no, I guess we're not allowed to get these scumbag criminals out of our country. We're just supposed to accept them with open arms. I call bullshit. And what is this crap? I definitely consider myself part of the resistance. This isn't 1940, World War II. You're not in France trying to defy the Nazis. Jesus. The problem with the left, I think, is they have these grandiose ideas. These are the same people you see in the park on weekends with Nerf swords that fight each other, and they act like they're in feudalism or some crap like that. I think you know what dorks I'm talking about, right? The East Bay Times reports the rough subject tally as of Friday afternoon. Love her decision, 153. Hate it, 1,037. That's a pretty big difference. That's almost a 10-to-1 ratio. The 1,190 calls, emails, and voicemails, a few dozen of which were reviewed by this news agency, are another indication of how deeply Americans are divided on immigration. I don't think we're all that deeply divided. I think it's just these isolated pockets, these people that live in a bubble, they're the problem. It's not the rest of America. I don't think, we're not for illegal immigration. Okay? Are divided on immigration in a world in which anonymous comments flood social media. Upset citizens will still sometimes pick up the phone. And while the angriest of them did not leave their name, others did and asked for a callback. I probably wouldn't leave my name either. They probably put you on some list, just like they did with the Tea Party and the IRS. Like Debbie from Fresno and Fred from Illinois, who were polite in their criticism. That's because people from the Midwest are polite, unlike people from LA and New York, who were absolutely rude. I do not understand you protecting people who are not American citizens, while you are abandoning the American citizens who put you in office, Debbie said in a voicemail. Why don't you help the homeless instead? Clean up our streets. Our country looks like an impoverished country in many ways. Thomas Homan, the acting director of ICE, said the Department of Justice is investigating Schaaf for obstruction of justice. In January, Schaaf vowed to go to jail to protect her city's status as a sanctuary city. And I'm sorry, folks, I agree with these people. We're the ones that put these people in office, and yet they do these ridiculous things. And I agree. I think they're looking for votes. Because we all know that illegal immigrants are voting in California and other places. And we do need to clean up our streets. Have you ever been to downtown LA? I have. To Skid Row? It's horrible. The estimates are there's some 60,000 homeless people in LA and surrounding areas. That's absolutely horrible. We could be spending all this money on those people rather than trying to spend it on people who shouldn't be here in the first place. And you know what, folks? Most of these homeless people are veterans. So she doesn't care about the veterans either. She doesn't care about anything except illegal immigrants and getting votes. That's all. And that's about all I have on this matter. I think my next video I'm going to do the Oscars, the Academy Award, and those obnoxious, ignorant Hollywood types. Can't stand those people either. Alright, folks. Thank you. And go ahead and click the like button. Hit subscribe if you want. Hit the dislike button. Leave me comments. Let me know what you think. Alright. Peace out, folks.